Dear class, welcome you to our lesson 2 of term 2 2020. I take this opportunity also to caution you about the pandemic. Please take more precautions. Make sure you stay at home and move only when it is necessary. So before we begin our lesson for today, I want to remind you of what we talked about last time. So last time we talked about monetary policy and then its tools. So we said the monetary policy refers to measures adopted by the central bank to regulate money supply and interest rates in order to achieve certain economic objectives. And examples of monetary tools, we said we have what we call the bank rate, open market operation, moral suasion, selective credit control, legal reserve requirement, marginal reserve requirement, cash reforms, and the special deposits. So that's what we talked about last time. So in our today's lesson, we are going to focus mainly on the challenges or limitations of the monetary policy in developing countries, taking a case study of Rwanda. That's what we are going to talk about today. Okay, so let's begin our discussion of the limitations of monetary policy in Rwanda. So the implementation of monetary policies in developing countries or in Rwanda has not been very successful due to many reasons, which may include some of the following that we are going to talk about. So what we can start with is what we call existence of large subsistence sector. We all know that subsistence sector is when individuals or communities grow crops for home consumption. So in Rwanda, we still have a big subsistence sector, and then we know that where there is a big subsistence sector, monetary policy is limited because people may only use barter trade as a medium of exchange other than using cash. So having a big subsistence sector in the country limits the use of money and implementing the regulations to control money supply and the interest rates. I think that one is clear. Number two, we have most commercial banks in Rwanda are foreign owned or they act on behalf of other banks abroad. So since most of the banks in Rwanda are not owned by nationals, they are foreign banks and they are managed by foreigners in different countries. That one limits the monetary policy implementation in Rwanda. So this means that their liquidity needs are addressed by their mother banks abroad, which make implementation of monetary policies in Rwanda difficult. So we all know what liquidity means. Liquidity means cash. So when these banks need like to lend out money to customers, they can be given money by their mother banks in foreign countries. So that makes it hard for BNL to regulate the amount of cash that they give to the public. We continue. Our next point of discussion is lack of self-commitment among bankers, which makes some monetary tools ineffective. We shall take an example of what we called the moral suasion and then the selective credit control. As loans go to non-priority sectors. So when bankers lack self-commitment, then they may not accept to follow the regulations or the requests made by National Bank of Rwanda not to give out loans to non-priority sectors. And then we know that by carrying out selective credit control, then government or National Bank of Rwanda is able to regulate cash flows or the amount of money circulating in the economy through restricting some sectors of the economy from accessing loans. And then another one we can talk about is high rate of liquidity preference among people due to ignorance and or general lack of confidence in the banking sector, thus making it difficult to implement the monetary policy. So most of our people in Rwanda and in many developing countries, they prefer being liquid. So they don't make use of financial institutions, for instance, to save money, or even, actually to save money. So the population is more liquid than the banking sector or than the banks. So if money does not go through the banking system, then it becomes very difficult for the central banks to regulate its supply, since they may have no control over it. Okay, we have lack of collateral security by most people in Rwanda to act as guarantee for loan acquisition, hence few qualify for loans. So many people in Rwanda, they do not have what we call collateral security to present to banks when they want to acquire loans. So therefore, even if the central bank wanted commercial banks to increase the level of lending, many people will not qualify for bank loans since they lack collateral security. So this makes commercial banks in developing countries to have a lot of liquidity, since many people among the population, they do not have collateral security, which can enable them to access loans when they present them to commercial banks. We all know what collateral security is. We say it is the items that the borrower presents to the bank when he or she wants to get a loan. In case he or she fails to pay back, then the bank can get back its money by selling that property. So most people don't have such properties to present to the bank, so that makes it the policy or the monetary policy in developing countries to be challenging. Okay, I think that one is understood. Then we have poor developed money markets. So we all know what money markets are. In Rwanda, I think you have some examples of money markets. So the poorly developed money markets render some tools ineffective, such as the open market operation. Therefore, there will be no buying and selling of securities, and thus the central bank cannot use such a policy to regulate the amount of money in circulation. So we saw that open market operation is when government sells and buys securities or treasury bills and bonds to the public. So we saw that if one government wants to adopt an expansionary monetary policy, it will pay back people who bought treasury bills and bonds from the central bank. Then that one will increase the supply of money in the economy. And then on the other hand, if government is to adopt a contractionary monetary policy, it will buy or it will sell share bonds and treasury bills to the public, such that the public gives money to the central bank, and then that one leads to reduction in money supply. So where the money markets are not well developed, then this kind of policy may not operate effectively. Next one is we have concentration of banks in urban areas. So we all know that banks in Rwanda, especially the commercial banks, they are concentrated in urban areas. That's where they get customers and where most business people live. So most businesses are located in urban areas, and therefore that one can be a pull factor for commercial banks also to be located in urban centers. Then people in rural areas may not be able to have access to the services of banks. Then that one also may be a loophole in the operation of our monetary policy in the country. So we have also that most people in Rwanda prefer investing their money in real assets such as land, cattle, houses, etc., than saving it with the banks. So this is due to low interest rates given to depositors, thus discouraging them from saving and thus affecting the operation of the monetary policy tools. So many people in Rwanda, they prefer investing their money like in land, in real estate or construction of houses, buying of cattle and other tangible permanent tools that they may use, or whose value may appreciate as time goes on. So this is mainly caused by the low interest rates that commercial banks in Rwanda give to depositors. So which discourages them from depositing their money with them, and instead they prefer to invest in other activities which are which are like fixed assets or other forms of possessions. So we have also a conflict between political interest and the monetary policy. So this is also another challenge of implementing monetary policy. So the government in most cases wants to increase wages for workers, for example, and then when the government increases wages or increasing prices for agricultural products, among others. However, such policies may conflict with the existing monetary policy. So it is always in interest of government to increase wages for all workers in the country, even supporting farmers to get fair payments from their products. However, that one may contravene the major goal of National Bank of Rwanda, which is price stability and sound economy. If government increases wages and also makes agricultural products expensive, then that one may cause an economic instability in the form of inflation in the country, resulting from excessive supply of money in the economy. So that one may be also a limitation. Okay, to continue, we have what we call now ignorance of the public about the availability of credit facilities in commercial banks. So a monetary policy like selective credit control favoring a sector like agriculture may not be utilized due to ignorance of the farmers about a credit facility. So there is that aspect of ignorance among the masses, where, for instance, they may not be able to realize that their sector is a priority sector and they can acquire loans from commercial banks. And then if the sector is given priority and participants in that sector are not willing to get money from the commercial banks, then that will be like again limiting the operation of the monetary policy as well. So we have also high levels of liquidity preference. So liquidity preference, we said, is the willingness of individuals to hold their wealth in form of cash or near cash form. Most people in Rwanda, as we said before, do not keep their money with the commercial banks. So this makes it difficult for the central bank to control money supply, which is out of the banking system. So this is a common thing in all developing countries. Many people do not or prefer being more liquid than keeping their money with the commercial banks for maybe an interest or for future use. Then we have inadequate entrepreneurial skills in Rwanda. So in Rwanda, there is limited number of entrepreneurs who can use the expanded credit investment. So this is due to low levels of education and entrepreneurship, rather who cannot use expanded credit investment. So this is due to low levels of education and entrepreneurial skills and abilities acquired by many Rwandan entrepreneurs. Okay, as we come to an end, let's discuss these last two. We have poor infrastructure in some parts of the country, which reduces the banking services, thereby reducing savings mobilization in rural areas. So some areas have poor infrastructure, and that one limits the activities of the banking sector. Thereby now savings cannot easily be mobilized in such areas where infrastructures are very poor to encourage the banking activities. And lastly, we have foreign interference that affects the smooth operation of central bank and execution of monetary policies, as exemplified by the conditions from the World Bank, the IMF, and other donor agencies. So in the future, we shall look at the international monetary systems, and then the conditionalities for IMF and World Bank for developing countries, which may limit National Bank of Rwanda to freely practice its mandate. As we shall discuss. So this point will be open to questions during class. Thank you.